Forever. Come on in the room. Hey there. Come on in the room. Hey. Jesus is my doctor. The Renegade, what's up, girl? How you doing? Hi there. Good to see you, boo. Help me with the live if y'all can. I want to get at least 10 people in here before I get started. I want to talk about faith. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with y'all because we are more than enough. Somebody say amen. So, my name is Amina Sapphire Turner, the War Saint. I was not raised in the church. I was raised in my grandmama's living room. Her living room was my sanctuary. Her lap was my altar. And my grandma taught me how to be an intercessor. She raised me as an intercessor, right? She had the anointing, the power to do so, right? That was given to her by spirit, the divine source energy, what language fits you at this time, right? And so an intercessor is somebody that stands in the gap, right? This is spirit, the divine, and this is the situation. This is the community. This is the circumstance. This is the petition, right? So let's just say you DM me and you was like, War Saint, my money seemed to be blocked. I do divination. I do some work, but I also go in the gap. This is the space right here, right? And I intervene with God to dismantle whatever is intentionally blocking your money for whatever the reason is, right? But I also come back to you with intel, meaning that God is like, spirit is like, yes, we're going to dismantle what is blocking their money, but they also need to do X, Y, Z to ensure that this doesn't happen again, right? So you get what you get the results. Your pathways are back open for you to receive your money, but you also get a lesson, right? And people don't want the lesson and the money. If you want the money, then you got to get the lesson. The lesson does not mean punishment. The lesson is redirection, right? And so my grandma would tell me in the gap, right? You take the word was the biblical text. And I went to seminary and I learned how to use the biblical text in the liberation lens. So I don't use the Bible to harm people. I don't use it to dehumanize. I don't use it to condemn people to hell. You understand what I'm saying? So I utilize the biblical text in a very, not, I wanted to say sophisticated way. I do because I know how to work the word. But at the same time, I use it in a very liberating way, right? And so my grandmama raised me to be an intercessor, right? My grandma also raised me as a prophet. She said prophets are for correction. Correction does not mean to shame you. It does not mean to humiliate you. It does not mean to belittle you, but to bring you in right correction with yourself. This is not punishment. This is not ridicule. It's self-awareness, right? And self-awareness implies radical truth because radical truth is necessary to get you into right standing. What is blocking you from being in right standing? Lies, deception, illusions, attachments, wounds, right? So it's to get you back into right standing with yourself, which means that correction needs to happen. And the correction, again, is not to harm, but to bring you into a awareness of yourself, the dynamics that you really are in, so that you can understand that you are not free. Like Harriet Tubman saying, I could have freed way more slaves if they knew they were slaves. You understand? Right? So they weren't in right standing with their self because they was in the illusion of whiteness that has affected them psychologically, emotionally, etc., etc. Do y'all understand where I'm going so far? Okay. So I wasn't, and my grandmama also was a treater, meaning that she would go to different revivals and all those things, and she would lay hands and pray with oil sometimes, and she would lay hands on the sick and they would recover, and there was always evidence, meaning they threw up a whole lot, meaning they laid on the ground shaking, like shaking, and you knew that their spirit was coming up off them. Or they got tongues and they started ripping and running around the church because that's how they got the energy and the spirit off them. Either their legs was restored and they're just, one lady was just running up and down the stairs one time because her knee had got healed, right? There was some type of blockage that was put on her knee. I don't remember the exact circumstance. But baby, when that knee was healed, she ran up and down them stairs for a good minute. And they was like, just leave her alone, right? Because she's in victory now. There was always evidence that the transformation occurred, right? Always evidence, right? My grandmama could walk in rooms and things would just shift. People be like, well, never mind. Because when Dorothy walks in the room, they get a new revelation because the prophet is in the house. So correction has to go forth. And again, I want to say this over and over again, because even in my woundedness, I have wounded other people, right? And we use these words like intercessor, prophet, and we harm people, right? So this is not to harm you, right? This is not to belittle you, right? But it is to give you the radical truth that is necessary so that you can be liberated, right? And the thing about that is like, are you willing to hear the truth? Or do you want to stay in survival mode? Okay? Some people couldn't receive it because they wasn't ready. And the people that my grandma hung with, they don't pull and pull, baby. They ain't convincing you that they can do this. They know they can do it. But the thing is, do you believe? Do you believe that you can receive it? Right? That's the thing. Like, you have to be a belief that you can actually receive this thing, baby. Because if you don't, they ain't gonna lay hands on you. Because what's the point? So ain't no point of leaking the energy, right? Of leaking the power if you are unwilling to receive what it is. You dig what I'm saying? Does this make sense? Because this is fair-based work. This is ethical work. And it is unethical for a practitioner to lay hands, right? Because you don't let everybody lay hands on you. Let's get that clear. Y'all know that? Say, I understand that. Put it in the comments or give me some hearts to say, I understand that I do not allow people to lay their hands on me. Some people be trying to push your hand down. And some of the women my grandma used to hang with, they didn't even have to touch you, baby. All they had to do is snap their fingers and boom. I was in one church and this lady had everybody line up. She said, everybody line up and put your hand out. So they touched each other's shoulder, except for the first person that was in line. Everybody was touching somebody's shoulder. Then she, boom, and they all fell out, except for one girl. One girl did not fall down. And all of them was in the spirit. They were shaking. They was in the spirit, right? And she told the other girl to come here. She was like, come here. And she looked at her. She was like, there it is. And she pulled on her ear. And she kept pulling on her ear and praying. Then she just gracefully fell down. So she removed the blockage so that she can receive. But she received it because she was willing for the blockage to be removed. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay. So, baby, I learned how to live. Hey, baby, I learned how to live by faith, right? And so a lot of people come to me and it's like, I want to practice ancestral veneration. Cool, you can do that, right? But what about your faith? Because ancestral veneration can be as simple. This is not the way that I learned ancestral veneration. I learned ancestral veneration on a deeper level than what people are talking about on social media, right? But the simple practice of ancestral veneration can be saying the names of your ancestors, right? And us people was like, well, I want to make sure that I'm safe. Of course you do. Good judgment call. Very good. You want to make sure that you are safe. So like I always say, and I learned this from my mentor, you call on the uplifted, enlightened, benevolent, protective ancestors, right? To guide you, to lead you, right? And so people who don't have any faith, right? Who don't know how, people who don't have faith are afraid to hope because of disappointment, right? They fear hope because of disappointment, right? The biblical text says faith, what is it? What it say? What it say? God damn it, I just forgot. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Okay? So faith is the substance of things hoped for. So you can't be afraid of the hope because faith is the substance of things hoped for, right? It is the evidence of things unseen. And then I think somewhere it says, I'll show you by faith, by my works, right? So the words could be, okay, let's give you an example. Years ago, I ain't had the money for my rent. So I visualized for 2 weeks, 3 times a day. 2 weeks, 3 times a day, that sales would come in my business. And it took maybe like 5-6 days for me to start seeing the results. The fact that I visualized 3 times a day for 2 weeks is the evidence of things unseen. Right? It was unseen in the natural, but in my visualization, I saw it come in. I saw congratulation emails come into my inbox. Okay? So I had the hope, right? I knew because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. You can't tell me that my grandmama can pray and lay hands on the sick and I see folks throwing up. I see folks shaking and shivering in the spirit. I seen all these things. Are you telling me that the Lord can't pay my rent? And when it say, I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor their seed begging for bread. Money answers all things. So I need some money. You need what? Some money. You understand what I'm saying? So that was the faith. The faith was, if I do this, I believe that if I do this, visualize 3 times a day for 2 weeks, my money will come through. What was the evidence of that? Actually visualizing for three times a day for 2 weeks. And then what happened? The congratulation email showed up in my inbox, which means money was in my bank account. Y'all understand? Right? So the thing about it is that many of y'all want to practice ancestral veneration. That's cool. But do you have the faith to believe that you'll be safe in this? Okay? So a lot of people I call them my uplifted, enlightened, benevolent, protective ancestors, right? But if you don't feel safe doing this, then that's what you need to tackle first. Why don't I feel safe doing this? I just told you what to do, but why don't I feel safe? Why don't I have faith in what it is that she said? Because it's not what I said is incorrect, right? It's not that what I said. I've been doing this since I was a little bitty thing. I've been doing ancestral veneration all my life. I'm 36 years old. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm not trying to flex. I know this. I know this, right? And so why don't you have the faith? Why don't you believe? Huh? Because the scriptures say, I had fainted unless I believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. You have to have faith. I believed. I would have fainted unless I believed. So the belief kept me in my posture. It kept me in my faith posture to do the necessary work. I know what Psalms it is, baby. To do the necessary work to get the necessary results. Okay, do we all follow? Okay, do we all follow? You did? Oh, you on point. Okay. Right? Y'all understand so far? Okay, is this helping y'all? Okay, so other instances, right? I remember another incident when I ain't had my rent money. Come on, we being real. This was years ago. But what I was gonna say? Oh, I ain't had my rent money. And so I told God, I said, God, I did everything I was supposed to do with my money. I said, I need your help. I was praying. And then Malachi 3:10 came to mind. God told me to tithe. Not the preacher, not the pastor, not somebody mama. God told me to tithe. So I tithed it, right? I tithed it, went to church, tithed it. Then I left, forgot all about it. And this is where many of y'all faith, somebody remind me about the release and receive method. It's not a method, it's what it is. I forgot all about it. Meaning I let it go. I wasn't thinking about it. I went on about my goddamn business, right? Went to my mama house. She's like, come here. And I had an attitude. I was like, what do you want? Right? And I said it in my head. And she's like, I don't know why, but God told me to give you this check. And it was the money I needed, then some, to pay my rent. I prayed. I was walking up the steps in undergrad. And it was these two guys. They was in front of me. And I had looked down and I saw a wad of money. Right? And I picked it up. And I ran to my dorm room. And I called my grandmother, and she said, didn't you just pray to get your car fixed? I was like, yeah, I forgot. And she said, if somebody say they missing their money, give it to them. But she said, if not, you go get your car fixed. Okay? I needed money to get back home one time. And I was like, God, let somebody send me some gas money so I can get home. And then 5 minutes later, forgot all about it. Went on to mind my business. Somebody PayPal'd me $100 so I can get home. Okay? I was somewhere. I ain't gonna tell y'all where I was. I was somewhere. And I was like, I need money to stay. I need money to stay in this place, right? And they was like, my ancestors told me to go live. So I went live, and the client came up. She's like, girl, I've been meaning to reach out to you. I need a reading. I said, okay, girl, what you want your reading on? I gave her the reading. I was like, oh, boo, that's why you wanted to call me, because you need some work done. She was like, let's talk in the DMs. She did, and the exact money I needed to book my room for the rest of the nights came in. You understand? I know how to live by faith. Okay? I know how to live by faith, right? And so if you listen to my story, the most consecutive thing is I prayed about it and I forgot. I released it. Wasn't no worry. Because the old folks say, if you're going to pray, ain't no need to worry. And if you're going to worry, ain't no need to pray. So why is it that when you pray for something, right, you saying that you're acting, when you pray for something, why are you holding on to it? Why you holding on to it? Why you ain't released it? Because every time I needed something, I forgot about it, right? Why did I forget about it? Because I only knew God to be God is. So if I need money right now, then God is my supplier, because that's how my grandma Wayman, she said, God will always provide. God will always provide. There's no ifs, there's no buts about it. God will always provide. And faith is sexy to spirit. Faith is sexy to the divine. Faith is sexy to source energy, right? Okay? It be smooth selling. Hey, baby. Hey, Nisi Wellness, I just saw you on Big Craft Works, right? So, hey, girl, right? Faith is sexy to the divine, right? So, all those instances in which I needed money, I got. Why? Because I prayed about it. Then I forgot about it. Then it came in. You understand? So, some people fear hope of disappointment, so they worry. But what if this happened? And what if this happened? And what if this happened? And what if this happened? Well, it ain't gonna happen because you're worried about everything that you don't want to happen. You're delaying. You're causing stagnation. And is this something that is inherently your fault? No, you was raised in some type of way, right? That allows you to panic. And panic was probably may have been projected on you. Or panic was an attribute in the environment that you lived in. Or you saw your mama panic. You saw your daddy panic. And all those things flooded on you. You understand what you embodied those things. Right? My upbringing was different. I've seen, my grandmama wanted a headstone for one of her parents. And she asked me, she was like, you got the money? I was like, oh, girl, I ain't got it. She was like, I'm going to get it. I said, I know. I was like, I know. Then the next day, she called to tell me, she said, guess what happened? I was like, what, girl? She said, I went to my friend's house. And she said they was just talking. And she said the wife, it was a couple. She said such and such wife said, you have a problem with receiving, huh? She said sometimes, right? Because she's a human being. Yes, she powerful. Yes, she got all this power. But she said sometimes I do. And she was just being honest. She was being human. Then the next thing she said is that the husband told her to open her hands. And she opened her hands and he counted her out the money that she wanted for the headstone. She also said, the husband woke up in prayer and said, God, send me somebody to bless. Send me somebody to bless. And it was very random that my grandmama went over his house. It was not random that he told her to open up her hands and pour out the blessing. Okay? To get the money for the tombstone. And what did my grandmama do with the money? She went to go get the tombstone. She did what she was supposed to do with the money, which is very important. Okay? So, for those of you that may be struggling in this, I want you to understand, first of all, I really want you to understand that spirit does not punish. Right? Spirit does not punish you. It's a redirection. The reason you're used to punishment is probably the discipline that you received from your parents, right? How many of y'all was silenced as a child? How many of y'all could not express yourself as children? How many of y'all, your curiosity was shunned or demonized, right? You had no avenues for self-expression, or when you tried to gather more insight, you could not gather that insight, right? So it left you wondering, what is this? Because you tried to make space for understanding so that you could operate in the way that was more sound for you, but it was not received. Right? It was not received because they wanted to maintain power. And maintaining power meant that they had to put their foot on your neck to keep you in order, to keep you bowed down, to keep you under their control. Right? A lot of our parents didn't want us to be liberated because it would be a threat to them and it would not maintain their power over us. You understand? Okay? So living by faith taught me a lot about standing in my own power. Living by faith taught me a lot about standing in my own power, right? And so, again, many of you all fear hope because you don't want to be disappointed. But what if it was not about being disappointed? What if it was not about being disappointed? What if we took disappointment off the table and then we focused on embodiment instead? Because the fact that I was able to pray and forget it means that I had embodied a belief system that I knew worked for me. And it could work for you too. Like, it's no respect of persons. You can do this. You understand? Right? So it's about embodiment. What are you embodying? Are you embodying the panic, the fear, the lack? Right? It's understandable why you embody that, because that was in your environment. That's what you heard. That's what you saw. That's what you were emotionally, mentally, and spiritually fed. The lack. Right? The panic, the doubt, the worry, right? That I gotta hustle in order to make it. I can't sit back and receive, right? The panic, the doubt, the worry, right? That I gotta hustle in order to make it. I can't sit back and receive. Spirit told me to go tithe. God, Spirit told me, not the preacher, pastor. Spirit told me to tithe. And then I forgot all about it, went to my mama's house to get that check. That's resting and receiving. The tithe was an act of faith, right? The fact that I received that gas money to get home when I did not have no money, I was like, Spirit, let somebody send me some gas money. I forgot about it. Then I was received. You understand what I'm saying? And another thing I want you to understand, and this may be too much right now, but I want you to know it's a possibility. There's no difference between your needs and your desires, right? Now, many of you all may want desires that are more abundant, meaning that, okay, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, so that means that you have to cultivate a different capacity, right? To be able to hold the systems within yourself that allows you to receive $1 million a year. That's a capacity issue, right? Because many of you are right now still in survival if lack, fear, panic, worry is still a part of your embodiment, right? And again, this is not to shame you. And I'm going to say this as many times as necessary. This is not to shame you, but this is to make you aware of the condition that you are in so that you can be conscious of where you are and where you want to go. Make sense? Right? And many of y'all may not want to be a millionaire. Many of y'all like, listen, I just want to make $300K a year, be able to travel and eat and do whatever I want to do. Okay, cool. That's still a capacity thing. So we need to get you to a particular capacity, which means that you have to eliminate people, places, things, and wounds. WOUNDS. Your mother womb, your father womb, the trauma, right? It's one thing to be aware of your trauma. It's another thing to get to the root of it and heal it. Okay, big difference. And I know this because I have lived it, right? I have lived it. I have shifted from survival into thriving, right? I've shifted into unworthiness into sovereignty. You understand? I've shifted from unworthiness to worthiness. And it required me, right, to release people, places, and things. It required me to be accountable more to myself. It required me to stop leaking energy because people were exploiting me. You understand? So it's a capacity thing. And I'm not telling you nothing. I was there in some instances I did lack, because one of the reasons why we also do lack is because we want a particular type of love that we may not know is possible. And the reason we don't know it's possible because we've never seen it before. We only can feel it and visualize it within ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? What real love is, you may not even understand until you really love yourself. Right? Real love to me right now is the fact that I can give myself peace. Real love right now is the fact that I have established emotional safety for myself. Right? Real love right now is the fact that I was more than willing to not look over my wounds. Hey, Danny, look over my wounds. But I was like, okay, fuck that. Let's get to the root of this. You dig what I'm saying? I did not abandon myself. When I saw myself fully, I didn't say, ugh. I was like, okay, this is what it is. How we clean this up, how we heal. You understand what I'm saying? So that's loving myself means that I consider myself first. I stop overgiving. I stop explaining myself. I stop denying the things that I really wanted. I stop holding the tension between the fact that I don't want to fuck with certain people no more. Even if it is my parents, even if it is family, right? Because where I'm going, they can't come with me because they don't have the capacity. They ain't here. They ain't interested in going to therapy. They ain't interested in doing no somatic practices. They're not interested in learning how to properly venerate their ancestors. They're not interested in further divesting from colonized Christianity, which means that you are eradicating whiteness from your psyche. They're not interested in doing that. They're interested in doing the same things that they've been doing, right? And you can't take those people with you. Easier said than done. Let's be clear. Okay? So it's a capacity issue. Okay, but let's get back to the faith. I just wanted to say that to, again, this is things that I went through. I ain't telling you nothing that I ain't went through. This is my lived experience, right? Because again, I was raised in my grandmama's living room. So I've seen many things. Okay? So another thing I want to say Do I want to say another thing right now? Okay, what questions do y'all have about this right now? Any questions? And I think I'm trying to wait for something to come back up so I can talk about it. Sad girl stories. Why sad girl stories? What's up with that, boo boo? You welcome. Every time I listen, you confirm something I have been dealing with this week. I'll share it. Amen. Cat, what's up, girl? How you doing? How you doing, baby love? Okay, while y'all put y'all questions in, I want you all to know something. I'm doing a living by faith mentorship, right? Doing a living by faith mentorship, and what is it that I really want to say? I'm teaching y'all how to live by faith. I'm teaching y'all how to do what it is that I did, but now I can teach you how to do it better than what I did, right? I can get you out of survival mode quicker than what because I was still in survival mode. And this is how I'm still in survival mode, living by faith, right? Because two things can be true at the same time. I was in survival mode, living by faith, because I was overgiven, right? I was living by faith in survival mode because I knew I had the emotional intelligence, but I did not do the necessary work to heal the wounds that I left open, right? And I know this because I started therapy. I thought I did in 2016 to 2024, and it was inconsistent. But when I did go into therapy, I did come out with results, right? Because I was always looking for a solution. The therapy that I'm in now it's not a solution-based thing. It's like you need to sit with this so that you can see the roots of how this has been, how you embodied this thing, how it is a threat to your holistic self, right? This ain't patch it up therapy. You understand? So when somebody is emotionally managing you, or you only looking for a solution and not a transformation, you are in survival, in my opinion, based on my lived experiences. That is a indicator of survival mode, right? You overgiven. You ain't seeking transformation. You're seeking quick fixes. You are emotionally aware that you are traumatized, but you're not healing your wounds, right? Many of you all have not named the people that harmed you as predator, okay? And many of you all may be under illusions about the relationships that you hold with parents, particularly when you know that certain parents are jealous and envious of you, right? So I knew how to get the money, but I was always getting money. You see? I was always getting money. I was not looking for a long-term thing. I was always getting money. I knew how to collapse time to get large sums of money within 2 to 3 hours because I've done it before because I know how to do this. I know how to do this, right? So now that's not what that is about because that's a consistent thing. Like you're going to have to consistently keep doing this when I could just take all the skills that I have, right? But I had to do internal work first, right? Because subconsciously, this is what I wanted to do. But what didn't allow it to come consciously is I was overgiven and thinking it was being generous. I was leaking energy. I was talking too much. I hadn't released my parents like I said I needed to. You understand what I'm saying? All these things was a blockage to me getting into long-term sustainability, right? Hey, you understand what I'm saying? So this is subconsciously you want long-term sustainability, but you have not done the internal work to allow yourself to do that in the natural. This is why I say I'm so glad that I'm doing this right now because I can teach you how to do this better because I'm no longer in survival mode. So I can see where you at. I'm like, okay, baby, very good. Good job. A for effort. I like it. Let's implement this right here and see how it works for us this week. Because the goal is not to have y'all in survival mode forever. The goal is to get you a transformation. The goal is to get you out of the fear of hope so that you can stand firmly in faith, knowing that all things are possible for you. Because you also may believe that God will do it for somebody else, but God won't do it for you. How many of y'all believe that? Oh, I believe God will do it for XYZ, but believing that God's spirit, source, energy, the divine, and I'm not talking about the God of colonized Christianity, right? That they wouldn't show up for you. Okay, many of y'all may not want to put that in the comments, but I know that's true, right? And y'all know that's true. I'm the one saying I know. You understand? So that's also a thing, your unworthiness. Because if you can believe that God would do it for somebody else and not you, why not you? What is it that you don't like about yourself? And oftentimes, it ain't even what you don't like about yourself. It's other pieces of people that you have embodied. You don't like them, but you've embodied pieces of their attributes and characteristics, and that's a portion of you that you do not like. And you think that's you. That's not you. That's somebody. That's what they projected on you. Okay? So yeah, y'all think that God won't do it for you, but they'll do it for somebody else. Thank you, TK, for being vulnerable and transparent. Okay? So I'm doing teaching folks how to live by faith. And go ahead and put y'all questions. Y'all don't have no questions, any curiosities, anything lingering, right? Because I know something came up while y'all are speaking about this. Many of y'all may be afraid. You may not be trusting it. You may say that's a dumb question. You may think that that's unnecessary. This is the time for you to get your objections clear, because everything that you all thought, said, or felt that may be in contradiction to what I said is the doubt that needs to be corrected, right? It's the objections that need to be cleared so that you can stand more fully in your faith, so that you can stop fearing hope. You understand? Our strongest desires, reflections of what our future or higher self already have. Yes. Yes. So I'm doing the Living by Faith, the mentorship. And I'm not going to keep this open for a long time because I just don't have the capacity to do so. And this is going to be a faith move for many of you all, right? It's going to be a faith move for many of you all. It's going to be a 3-month mentorship. I'm starting at 3 months so I can access where you are. And then after the 3 months, we can further go on if you so choose to, right? Because it's going to be different for everybody depending on where they're at. Why does living by faith seem scary? Why does living by faith seem scary? Wait a minute, let me think. Because living by faith was not scary for me. Living by faith, it may seem scary for other people. For one, okay, so what is your source, right? Because spirit was my source. The biblical text was also my source. The Bible says, I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor their seed begging for bread, right? It says that God is able to, God will command blessings upon me in my barn and all that I undertake. God will bless me in the land that God has given me. I also grew up knowing that spirit source energy was a provider. So it did not make sense for me for spirit not to provide. So it may seem scary because of your belief system. Your belief system may be fractured. You may not believe the belief system that was given to you or inflicted on you or you had to conform to in your childhood. You could also fear hoping because of disappointment before. You may not understand the approach to living by faith, which is like if you're going to pray, right? Like the old folks used to say, if you're going to pray, ain't no need to worry. And if you're going to worry, ain't no need to pray. So are you able to release what you pray for? Release it, God got it, I'm going to receive it and go on about your day? Or do you worry, trying to panic, figure out the how, the why, and the when, right? Because I never did any of that. I just let it go and I was able to receive, right? Does that answer your question? Does that hit home for you? And y'all may not know what questions to ask because this is all new to you. Kat, does that hit home for you? But I think it's your belief system. I definitely was an anxious child who watched how people move to determine safety. Yeah, so this is a question of safety. I'm believing in myself more than ever. I feel living behind the expectation. The expectation of disappointment. Yeah, because it's an unworthiness. It's a worthiness issue. It's a worthiness issue. You don't see yourself worthy as God coming through for you. And then it goes back to what is your concept of God? And what is that concept rooted in? What is your concept of God and what is that concept rooted in? If it's rooted in survival, it is rooted in survival, but it's rooted in whiteness, right? And whiteness does not affirm your blackness. Whiteness does not affirm the fact that you are a woman, right? So if whiteness does not affirm your humanity, it's not going to affirm your divinity, right? And black women, particularly queer black women, trans black women, in this country, your humanity and divinity have never been supported at the same time. Even in the church, there was always some contradiction. So it's an unworthiness issue. It's a belief system issue. It's an unworthiness issue. It's a belief system issue. And it's a self-concept issue. Because your belief system, your self-concept is influenced by your belief system. And many of you all don't see or realize how you are rooted in how your belief system is rooted in whiteness. My home was extremely oppressive with a white man who hated me, but as a child, I didn't realize it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I can understand that. So this is also what we're going to do in the mentorship. So again, if you all, it's probably going to be longer than 3 months. It's going to depend on where you are. I think I want to work with everybody differently. And I'm also going to bring everybody in community so that you all can hear each other's stories, to know that you don't have to go through this alone, that you're not being weird, that your circumstances are not astronomically like out in the field, right? Many of us make up stories in our heads about our circumstances, situations, and who we are because we never had anybody to talk to, right? And I used to do that as well, right? Me and my mother didn't have much girl talk, so I was left with my own thoughts. Many of us have been left with our own thoughts, and we started to believe certain things as truth that were not truth, and it has affected what it is that we believe about ourselves. It has affected our self-concept. It has affected our approach to different things. It has affected a lot holistically, right? So you fear hope. You don't want to hope because you don't want to be disappointed. But it's not about hope. It's about embodiment. It's about clearing and cleansing. It's about finalizing what it is that you believe, as opposed to the danger you were forced to embody. And colonized Christianity is violence. It is danger. Okay? All right. So if you guys are interested in this, please DM me, right? Please DM me. Please DM me and we can talk about it. But I'm here for more questions. So finding ourselves seems to play a major role in this. Yes, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think so. But my thing right now is that, like, you are so far, you have a lot of work to do to get to identity alignment, right? So when you say knowing yourself, knowing who you are, right? I think what you want to know is your identity, right? But you have to do a clearing and cleansing, right, of your psyche, of your emotional space, of your mental space to receive your identity. Right? I know who I am, right? This is also why I changed my name. I am Amina Sapphire Eternal, the War Saint. I can say so much more after that, but I don't want to. I can, but that's clear, and I know what the War Saint means to me. You understand what I'm saying? And another piece of evidence in which I did not understand my identity is when I was in seminary. I was always trying to say, I was the director of this, or I'm the director of that, right? And another example of how I wasn't fully embodying myself is that I'll get on social media, I'm like, y'all need to call me by my name. I don't do that shit no more because I know who I am. You understand what I'm saying? When I know who I am, I'm not looking for a categorization. Like, I am the bar. You understand what I'm saying? I don't look to fit myself in categorizations. And if you are looking to fit yourself in categorizations, you're searching for your identity, but you don't know how to go about it because there's so many things that's blocking you. Your belief system, how you was raised, the things that were projected on you via your parenting. You understand what I'm saying? Many of y'all weren't parented, right? Many of y'all wasn't mother, and many of y'all did not have a safe father to be around, and your mother couldn't nurture you because she was trying to survive and get away from your daddy or get away from the patriarchal figure. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things, and this is why I said that this is going to depend, the length of the mentorship is going to depend on the individual, because I need to access where you are and what implementation we need to be practicing now to go ahead and clear you up, cleanse you up so that you can be in your right mind. So remember when I said, when I first started, my grandmama said that prophets are for correction. And the correction is not to shame you, it's not to punish you, it's not to dehumanize you, but it is to put you in right standing with yourself, meaning that the illusions, the deceptions, the lies, all that has to be cleared away, right? All that has to be cleared away so that you can see yourself, right? So that you can believe in yourself, so that you can trust yourself, so that you can love yourself. It makes sense? What other questions y'all got? Hey, baby, how you doing? I'm good, baby. How are you? Thank you for asking. Hey, Black Onyx. And another thing is this, like, another thing is that, like, many of you all don't know the difference between. You said, what you say? Hold on. Let me take a picture. You said, I'm well, thank you, baby. That money or work. You welcome, baby. Woo, that has opened so many doors for me. Did you get the recent batch? Boo? I'm so glad it's working for you. How do I move on from a person that wanted to murder me? Okay, get out the environment. You got to choose yourself. Choose yourself. And choosing yourself means that you need to release them. Don't talk to them. Anything they gave you, shoes, clothes, money, pieces of paper, burn all that shit. You got to get away from them. You got to leave. You got to choose yourself. Okay, so yeah, that's the recent batch. And you did your 30 days. See, if you do the work, it worked. Right? Look at you, girl. That's so good. That's so good. Send me a testimony. Email me. That's so good. I'm glad you got it. And you finished up. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Good job, girl. You did your work. I'm so proud of you. I love it when y'all win. Yes, the working commands alone to get you rooted back. I'm trying to tell you. But then when you put that oil on, it clear up things and it open up spams. Yep. I admit my faith is not strong and there's confusion. Okay, so confusion about what? I sure will. Thank you. You're welcome, baby. You should. And how much oil you got left? You should have a lot left. You just using a little bit, right? You just using a little bit. You only need. I don't want you to run out no time soon because I ain't got no more. It's all gone. Oh, you have a lot. Good. Right? See, that's why I charge $100 because my shit is effective. If you do the work, you get the results. See, one drop. Very good. Very good. Proud of you, boo. I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. So happy for you. Immediately. Immediately what? It worked effectively. I have felt sometimes my needs aren't met through prayer. Okay, why? Why do you feel like your needs are not met through prayer? How can you get grief out the body? Somatic practices help. Somatic practices help. And when you feel the need to cry, do you cry? When I first started crying, I was like, I will only get 2 tears. And I was like, I know I got so much more. I know I got more tears than this, right? But I just ooh, gratitude for these 2 tears, right? And then I started grieving more. Grief became a form of enjoyment because that meant I was clearing so much out of my body. Yeah, you pray and want it. So the thing is, you don't release it. So when I didn't have all the money for my rent, I told Spirit I need my rent money. Spirit told me go tithe, right? I'm not saying that you have to do this. You can if you want to, but Spirit, source energy told me to go tithe. I tithed it. Forgot all about it. I forgot about it because it's done. Once I put that in there, that tithe in there, it's done. Done, right? I went to my mama house and she's like, I don't know why, but God told me to give you this check. right? Another instance is when I was doubting in fear, because there was a time I was doubting in fear when I first started Dorothy's House. Nobody was signing up for my program, right? And I went outside and I prayed. My doubt was on 95%. When I was done praying, doubt was on 95%, right? This is 95, but it came all the way down to 5. That's a lot of space. That's a lot of space, right? Came in the house, continued journaling about why I was fearing. So this is something that you probably need to do. You need to journal about why you have the fear, why you have the doubt, and be honest. If you're not going to be vulnerable, and I would encourage you to be transparent and vulnerable on the paper so that you can see yourself clearly, so you can see the blockage clearly. Came back in the house, kept journaling about it. My phone said ding, ding, ding. I just knew. I said somebody signed up. I said people signed up. And I looked at it. Boom. People signed up. And people signed up every day after that. I just needed to make space. I just needed to get my doubt out the way. And I did that by journaling, because my mentor at the time, she said, it sounds like fear and doubt. Go journal. And I did. And the reason that I doubted is because I had another offer that nobody was signing up. But then I realized somebody did sign up. It just took them time. So I was like, boom, that doubt is scratched out the way. I don't remember why I had fear. I think it's because it's my first time doing this, perhaps. And I just journaled until it made sense to me. And then I was journaling and someone told me, go pray. Duh, go pray. I went to go pray. And then it came through, right? So I would encourage you to journal about your doubt and fear. And just start, I doubt because, and you need to say the thing that you feel. Say the thing that you see. Say the thing that you remember. Say the thing that's coming to your mind. It don't matter if it sounds crazy. Just put it on paper and keep writing. Whatever comes up, whatever comes to mind. It don't matter. Ooh, I fear that this is not going to happen because I feel like God is going to do it for everybody else and not me. I really want me some fried chicken right now. This fried chicken, ooh, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. But ooh, it's going to be so good when God do this thing for me. You see, the fried chicken ain't got nothing to do with what it is that you asking for, but it came up, and it came up to lead you to understand that what God is going to do for you is going to be good too. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it don't make sense, but put it on the paper and trust, right? Just keep writing. Just keep writing. Even if you don't know what to write, keep writing. And sometimes I was like, well, ain't nothing else coming up. So I'll start drawing, and I'll look at what I'm drawing, and I was like, oh, and I keep going. You see what I'm saying? Is there a way you and I can speak or have more of a dialogue than your lives? Sure. You can book, if you want a session with me, I can get you on the books tomorrow if you want to. When I meditated last week, I felt chills on my shoulders, then cried with no reason. Is that normal? Yes. Another thing I was going to say is that many of y'all may need help understanding that you are in the world and not of the world. So I know that it's the economic climate, right? But that don't mean everybody broke. That don't mean ain't no money. There's always money. I asked in 2020, I said, yes, baby, if you want to get in a session with me, you can DM me and we can talk about it, and I can get you on the books tomorrow or whenever you are available. When 2020 started, and I'm just being vulnerable about this, right? When 2020 started, I asked the marketer, I was like, well, how people going to sign up and if it's a lack of money? And she was like, well, ain't no lack of money. And I was like, you're right, because God is. My mind went right back to what my grandmama taught me, right? So just because I've been doing this since I was a little bitty thing, don't mean that I don't have that fear and doubt don't try to creep in. I just know how to handle that motherfucker, okay? Because they come from a portion of you, right? So I shouldn't say motherfucker. I should be more graceful and more gentle, okay? Because I don't want y'all to think I'm going to punish you or be shameful or make you shame and all that kind of stuff. I just know how to handle it. I know how to work through it, right? So when she said it, I was like, facts. And then I started saying the scripture, because I ain't never seen the righteous forsaken nor their seed begging for bread. I had fainted unless I believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, right? Because that's what my grandma trained me to do. And I was like, you're right, because God is. And if God is abundant, let's just use different language. Spirit is, right? Because that's going to help a lot of y'all. Spirit is, so abundance is, so tools are. Because money is a tool. So money is available to you right now. How are you going to show up to receive it? Not what you're going to do to receive it. How are you going to show up to receive it? How are you going to show up to receive it? Right? And how you show up doesn't have to be hustle. How you show up doesn't have to be grind. How you show up, you ain't got to perform. I ain't performing right now. I'm just telling you what it is that I know, and this feel real easy and fun to me. You understand? That is also a state of rest. That is what allows you to rest and receive. But you got to get your nervous system to this point, because sometimes I tell myself, I ain't finna do nothing else. I ain't finna do nothing. I ain't finna hustle for nothing. You got me fucked up, right? I ain't finna do that. So I'm going to go journal and see how I want to show up to receive what it is that I want, because money is always available. And the thing with many of you all is that you got the money, you just sitting on it. You're sitting on it because you're worried about the economic climate, right? And so if you're sitting on it, you ain't spending no money. You operating with a closed hand. A lot of people don't realize, yes, you want to be wise about your money. Yes, you want to be wise about your investments. Yes, you want to save, right? Yes, you want to galvanize financial literacy, which comes with the responsibility of freedom. And I had to learn that. Like, you got to make your own self financial literacy. You can't depend on nobody else to do it for you, right? And that's just codependency that you learn from your parents. If you want everybody to do every little thing for you, that's just codependency, right? You have to become self-sufficient, and you got to be big daddy to yourself, okay? So many of y'all operating with a closed fist, you're not spending no money. But to get something, you got to put something in. Okay? So if you ain't got no money and you want money, there's something that you can give somebody. You can give somebody some flowers, right? You could be like, somebody needs some food. I got these frozen pizzas, right? And don't give nobody no trash, right? Don't give nobody no outdated pizza. Because that's the energetics between it matters. So if you got some fresh flowers, or you can afford to get some fresh flowers, then here you go, baby. I'm gonna give you these flowers just cause. And then you gave something. You put something in the circulation, and now you are able to receive. You reap what you sow. So what are you sowing? Just because the economy is what it is does not mean you stop sowing the seeds. It don't mean you stop spending the money. I don't care what nobody else say. I know this for a fact. You have to sow in order to receive. You have that's the law. That's spiritual law. You reap what you sow. What are you sowing? And if you operating with a closed fist, you ain't sowing that much. Okay, well, you ain't got no money. You got time. How you giving your time? You a content creator? Okay. What kind of content are you making? What are you giving to receive? It doesn't mean that you got to make 25 pieces of content. It doesn't mean that you got to show up and perform, right? It doesn't mean that you have to operate in urgency. But what are you sowing? Right? This is spiritual law. And the reason why a lot of people don't like to sow money is because they're in scarcity mindset. So they stay there. I was in church one time with my cousin. This memory just came to mind. And she said she wanted this woman, she was preaching, she was telling her story. She said, I wanted to get pregnant again. I wanted to have another baby. And she said, so every time I saw a pregnant woman, I put money in their hands. She sold something and she was able to get pregnant. And she had another baby and she named her Victory. You see? This woman wanted to get pregnant. So every time she saw a pregnant woman, she put money in their hands, right? And she was telling this story when her child was like either 6 or 7. So this was an old story. This was an old seed that she had sowed, and she was able to get pregnant. And she named her baby Victory. You reap what you sow. A man he wanted to be a millionaire, so he went to restaurants. What millionaires was. He said the only thing he could afford was the coffee. So he put himself in that environment so that he could embody that energy. What did he do? He made an investment into places where millionaires are. He sat there and drank his coffee and read his book so he can embody the energy. And I think when he told his stories, like a year and a half later, he made his first $1 million. You got to do something. You got to sow a seed. The only thing the man could afford was the coffee. He didn't give a fuck about how he looked. He was thinking long term. That woman wasn't trying to get nothing from them women. listen, I want what you got. Here's some money. I ain't jealous of you. I'm just going to give you some money and invest in what you got right here, which is pregnancy, so I can have the same thing. Ain't no need to be jealous. You want what she got, a baby. And so she got her own baby. He wanted what them people had in there, money. So he got his own money. And people like, oh, is it really that simple? Yes, it really is that simple. But what are the energetics, right, that you are taking into the space? That's what you need to filter out, right? They really mean not labor. And you know this came by using the oil and doing your work. You ain't labor. You got your energetics right. I ain't laboring now. I'm helping the people. Because I ain't doing no labor. Fuck that. The labor was me overgiving. Thinking it was generosity. Right? The labor was not me being unwilling to see the evil in people. That's the labor. Because it keeps you in performity. You performing, you overgiving to buy love. I overgave to buy love. I'm just telling you the truth, right? Why? Because I was wounded. Okay? What other questions y'all got? Thank you. I've been doing shadow work since I was a kid. And this is why when people talk about shadow work on social media, I be like, y'all have no idea. So the shadow work is like you have to deal with your inner child. You have to deal with how is your inner child wounded? How is she disappointed? How does she feel? Why does she feel like that? Why is she still holding on to this tension? You understand? The shadow work is also begins when you stop avoiding what it is you need to address. For instance, I cannot remember her name. I think her name is Jasmine. Her brand is the Black Mother Wound. And every time I would see her shit on Instagram, I scroll. Nope, that ain't me. Oh, that's scroll. Every time she said something about mother wombs, I scrolled. Because I was being avoidant. Right? I was being avoidant. So what is it that you're ignoring that you really need to pay attention to? What tension are you holding? Tell yourself the truth. Self-honesty is the greatest gift that you can give yourself. Tell yourself the truth. Right? Do you really like your mama and daddy? Tell the truth. Do you really want to be bothered with your siblings? Tell the truth. Do you really like these motherfuckers that you work with? Tell the truth. What is it that you really want? TK, will you be opening your Patreon again? Yeah, when I decide what I want to put in it. Because right now I do not know. The Renegade, veneration of ancestors, how's that approach? You can just say the name of your ancestors. Say their names. You can go outside and pour water while you say their names. And if you don't know their names, you can say, to my uplifted, enlightened, benevolent, protective ancestors, I pour water for you. That's just surface level ancestral veneration. And people be like, well, it ain't no levels to this. Yes, the fuck it is. Yes, it is. People just don't know because they don't have the lived experience of it. And talking about the level of ancestral veneration that I've gone through since I was a little bitty thing would scare a lot of people because they don't have the courage or the bravery to do that. I had to be brave. I had to have courage. And sometimes people, my courage and bravery was developed. I had to have it. That was the only way I was going to survive. Afro Spiritual, what up, boo? Okay. Any other questions y'all have? I am so pretty. No makeup. I'm just so pretty. I look gorgeous. I look gorgeous. Thanks, boo. Kisses, smooches. Thank you. Look at that smile, baby. Ooh, she cute, girl. She's stunning. She's stunning. Thank you. But I'm glad I'm beautiful here too, on the inside. Good, TK. Go ahead and DM me. Because I don't know how long I'm going to keep this open. Once I get to the point I want to get to with capacity, I'm going to close it. So I really encourage y'all to take this leap of faith, right? Trust what it is that you feel and know. And another thing is that, like, a lot of things, confirmation comes up in the body. But because you're not used to allowing yourself to feel, you think it's resistance and not confirmation. I activate people. And I know this for a fact. I activate people. And many of y'all are activated in this live. So y'all feel what it is that you feel. Don't allow fear to keep you where you at instead of taking the leap of faith. And let's go ahead and do this work. Any other questions? I got my cards. If y'all want readings, I'll do them, but I only do them for $75. You can send it to my Cash App. If not, I'm gonna get I'm fixing to get off. I like you already know. Stop. What you mean? You already know. Stop doubting. Yeah, you already know. Yeah, you already know. You just don't know that you know. Do you agree that heaven is the highest level of vibration you can reach? It depends on what you think heaven is, but I know heaven is eternal. I mean, internal. It's here. It's inside. And there's so many depths and layers to that. It's so many things that you can explore. But, I mean, be mindful and be careful. Wow. It's here. It's internal. You got to do your healing work to get to the inside. Your abundance is here. Your love is internal. And it may not even be heaven that you're looking for, right? You could be, my assumption is based, this is what's coming to mind, that you could be confusing yourself about what heaven really is based on the language and what it's associated to. So when we think about heaven as really associated with Christianity, and heaven could be, they teach heaven as something to be external when heaven is actually, the kingdom of heaven is actually here. And so you get to decide what heaven is, but you have to go through your shadow to reach it, right? You have to remove all the stumbling blocks. You have to work on your, and this is a process. This is not a quick fix, right? This is transformational, right? It's a lot of work that you have to, and heaven could be your reality. And your reality is created by what lives on the inside. This is why you hear like manifestation coaches say, you attract what you are. So if somebody came into your life and you're like, I do not like this person. Okay, what is it that you don't like about yourself? What part of you lives in them that you are not willing to acknowledge? Who, baby, because some of us be in some dangerous situations and we don't even realize it. Okay. No. All right, y'all. I'm finna get off. I hope you all enjoyed this session. I'll be back on. Again, if you want to participate in the mentorship, please go ahead and hit me up. Because when I reach capacity, that's going to be it, okay? Peace. Love y'all. Bye.